New York was buried under falling snow, the streets hushed beneath the weight of winter. At a deserted bus stop, Jack Miller stood hunched in a fraying olive jacket, clutching a folder of failed job applications. Once a construction engineer, now 46, widowed and homeless, he watched his breath fog in the cold and whispered to himself, "Maybe tomorrow." Then, through the snow, a woman appeared mid-30s, elegant, her hair damp, her thin blouse trembling in the wind. She had no coat, only a desperate look and shivering hands. Jack tried not to stare, but the sight of her shaking stirred something inside him. Without thinking, he removed his jacket and stepped forward. "You don't have to do that," she said, startled. Jack smiled faintly. "I've already lost enough today. This coat's the only thing I have left to give." She hesitated, then let him drape it over her shoulders. The fabric smelled faintly of soap and coffee, small traces of warmth in a world gone cold. "Thank you," she whispered. "Not tonight," he said quietly, folding his arms against the freezing wind. When the bus finally arrived, she turned back. "Do you have somewhere to go?" Jack shrugged. "Somewhere." She handed him a business card. "In case you ever need anything." He slipped it into his folder without looking. When the bus disappeared into the snow, Jack stood there, shivering not from the cold, but from something else, a quiet spark of dignity he thought he had lost. Jack walked through the empty streets until he reached his rusted old Chevy truck parked behind a warehouse. Inside lay his entire world, a few blankets, a tin box, and a faded photograph of his late wife Laura and their son Ben, both smiling under a summer sky. "Good night, Laura. Good night, Ben," he whispered before closing his eyes. He had once built homes and schools, places meant to last, but when cancer claimed Laura, his life unraveled. He sold everything to pay the bills. Eventually, he and Ben moved into the truck. Still, Jack tried to keep hope alive. He shaved every morning so his son would believe things could get better. But last year, the social services took Ben away, saying he needed stability. Jack didn't fight. He just hugged his boy and promised, "Just for now, I'll come back for you." Now, each day was a quiet battle for survival day labor jobs, free workshops, long walks to job fairs. Yet that night at the bus stop, offering his jacket to a stranger had made him feel more human than any resume ever could. Meanwhile, Emily Davis, CEO of Brighton Tech, stepped into her luxury apartment. The warmth of the marble floors did nothing to ease the chill inside her. She still wore Jack's coat. When she reached into its pocket to fold it neatly, her fingers brushed against a crumpled paper, a child's drawing. Two stick figures stood hand in hand beneath a crooked sun. Dad and me. Below it, written in shaky letters, "I love you, Daddy Ben." Emily froze. The man's tired eyes, the way he had offered his last bit of warmth without hesitation, it all made sense now. He wasn't just a stranger, he was a father. Tears filled her eyes. She looked around her silent apartment, no laughter, no family photos, only sterile success. She clutched the coat to her chest and sobbed. Memories flooded back, her own childhood in foster care, the night she ran away, cold and hungry, until a kind stranger named George Carter had found her and wrapped his coat around her shoulders. He hadn't said much, only smiled and told her, "You'll be okay." That night had changed her life. Now, decades later, she realized how far she had drifted from that warmth until Jack Miller reminded her. The next morning, Emily couldn't focus. The drawing lay on her desk beside a cup of untouched coffee. Finally, she rang the silver bell for her assistant, Sarah Lopez. "Sarah, I need your help to find someone." Sarah blinked. "Who?" "His name is Jack. He gave me his coat at 56th and Madison last night. I don't know his last name." Sarah hesitated, then nodded. "I'll look into it." For 3 days, her team quietly traced bus routes, cameras, and job records. Finally, Sarah returned with a thin folder. "His name's Jack Miller. Used to be an engineer. No address. Lives out of a truck in the Bronx." Emily's heart tightened. "I want to see him." "Miss Davis, maybe we should—" "No," Emily interrupted. "This is personal." That afternoon, a black sedan rolled to a stop near an abandoned warehouse. Snow still fell softly. Emily spotted the old truck, half buried under ice. As she approached, the door opened, and Jack stepped out, startled. "Emily," he said quietly, recognition flickering in his eyes. "Hi, Jack." He glanced at himself, wrinkled clothes, worn boots. "What are you doing here?" "I came to find you." "Why?" "Because I couldn't stop thinking about what you did and who you are." He gave a short laugh. "You didn't have to track me down for that. A thank you card would have done." "It's not about thanks," she said. "It's about not letting something good disappear." For a long moment they stood in silence, two lives divided by circumstance but joined by compassion. A few days later, Emily found Jack working at a construction site. She waited until his break, then walked up with 2 coffees. "Hi again," she said. He blinked in surprise. "You really didn't have to." "I know, but I wanted to." After a pause, she asked, "Would you come with me? There's something I want to show you." He hesitated. "I still have hours left on shift." "I already told your foreman you had an interview." He frowned. "I don't have an interview." "You do now." They drove to Brighton Tech. The lobby gleamed with glass and chrome. Jack muttered, "I don't belong here." Emily smiled. "Just come upstairs." In a quiet room overlooking the skyline, she handed him a folder. "This isn't about the coat," she said. "I kept that. It's mine now." Jack frowned. "Then what is it?" Inside was a job proposal, a contract, a new position, cultural and human values advisor. Jack Henry, in the original, frowned as he flipped through the pages. "What is this?" "It's a new role," Emily explained. "One I created. Someone who sits in on department decisions, training programs, development discussions, not to talk numbers or strategy, but people, values, compassion." Jack blinked, stunned. "Emily, I sleep in a truck." "You were an engineer once." "I haven't built anything in years." "You built a moment I'll never forget," she said softly. He shook his head. "I'm not qualified." "You don't need a degree to teach people how to care. You live it every day." Jack looked down, voice trembling. "You think someone like me belongs here?" "I know it," she said. Emily drove him to a red brick building called Carter House, its sign faded but bright with life. Inside, laughter echoed. Walls were covered in handprints and children's drawings. "This place," Emily said quietly, "is named after the man who once gave me his coat, George Carter. He saved me. I built this place for kids who need someone to believe in them because he believed in me." She looked at Jack. "And last week you did the same." Tears filled his eyes. After years of invisibility, someone finally saw him again. He nodded, unable to speak, and accepted the job. At first, employees at Brighton Tech didn't know what to make of him, but when Jack Miller spoke, people listened. He didn't lecture about productivity or profits. He told quiet truths about losing everything, about trying again, about kindness in small moments. "Do you know the name of the janitor?" he once asked a manager. "Have you ever looked someone in the eye and really seen them?" Gradually, the company culture changed. Laughter returned to the break rooms. Compassion replaced competition. When a young programmer confessed he hadn't slept in 3 days, Jack said, "You're not broken. You're just tired. Being tired means you've cared too long without anyone caring back." The line spread across the office walls, printed on mugs and posters. With Emily's help, Jack bought a small house in Brooklyn. His son Ben came home, tears in his eyes as they shared their first dinner in years. "You kept your promise, Dad." Jack smiled through emotion he could barely contain. And through it all, Emily and Jack grew closer, from colleagues to friends, then to something deeper. 2 wounded souls who had finally found peace in each other. A year later, Brighton Tech held a special event called One Kindness Day. The banners of quarterly profits were replaced by white drapes, soft lights, and a single framed artifact on stage, Jack's old olive green coat. Emily stepped to the podium. "A year ago, I stood at a bus stop in the freezing cold, more lost than I realized. Then a man I didn't know gave me his coat. It was old, worn, but it changed my life. Because kindness, real kindness, doesn't wait for convenience, it simply shows up." She revealed a plaque beneath the coat. "One small act of kindness can rewrite a life." "And today," she said, her voice trembling, We honor the man who taught us that truth. Jack, please come up." Jack walked slowly to the stage amid thunderous applause. Emily handed him an envelope. Inside was the title deed to his house, now fully paid. "No more sleeping in trucks," she whispered. The crowd cheered, but Jack held up a hand. From his pocket, he took out a small box. "You said this coat changed your life," he said, voice shaking. "But you changed mine, gave me back my home, my son, and my hope." He opened the box to reveal a silver ring. "Emily Davis, will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes. She laughed through them. "Yes, of course, yes." A month later, they married at Carter House. The room glowed with mismatched chairs, paper flowers, and the laughter of children. Ben stood beside his father as best man. During the vows, Emily took Jack's hands. "Once, you gave me a coat," she said softly. "Tonight I give you my whole life." The room erupted in applause. Outside, under strings of fairy lights, a photograph captured them standing arm in arm, the coat beside them, framed forever as a symbol of hope. And from that night onward, their story became a reminder whispered around the world. Kindness doesn't require perfection, just presence, just heart.